We're good? Hey there, it's Jordan. I am in West Philadelphia. We are here at Townhomes, the UC Townhomes, but it's been renamed the People's Townhomes. And behind us, as you can see, are a couple of tents that have popped up here over the last week or so. I'm here with a resident, Amira, and you've been here for 19 years. Many of the residents here have been there for a while.
Wow, yes.
Yeah. So I want to kind of set up what's going on here. Smash the like button, share this live stream so more people can see it. Again, we're in West Philadelphia, surrounded by several colleges, hospitals, kind of a gentrification, you could say. But you've been here for 19 years, and about a year ago, my understanding is the landlord told the residents that he's going to
not renewing the HUD contract, and he was selling the property.
So this is a HUD property?
Well, it's his property, but HUD maintains the rental subsidy on it.
So what did he, when he told you he was not going to renew, what was the communication? What did he tell the residents that you had to do?
We would all be served vouchers. We were supposed to get our vouchers in March. We actually didn't start getting our vouchers until June. So right now we still have 67 residents housings that people still either just got their vouchers or haven't got their vouchers yet.
And wasn't the deadline that he was pushing people to move was around now, but it then got extended?
July 8th and got extended to September 7th.
So tell me about these vouchers, because that word is used a lot as if it's like some magical thing. But how far do these vouchers take you as far as trying to find housing here in Philadelphia?
I mean, we can find, if housing's available, they were supposed to be able to get us 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, whatever we in now. And as the market for apartments and housing is none. It's not available. We look, and then if you find something you like, the neighborhood is horrible. So.
And let's kind of backtrack so people know. These tents popped up about a week ago.
Yes.
And can you kind of talk about who are in the tents? Because some of the media has made it out like, oh, this is some homeless encampment. The reality is this is a residents-initiated protest trying to not get evicted, and you have community support that has come here at the residents' invitation.
Yes, the residents are camping out. We have some supporters camp out, but the supporters come all day and help us with donations, sitting at the front table for information, anybody to come by. But this is the residents. We're camping out because this could be us in 2 months if we don't find housing. We could be homeless.
Right. And it's kind of crazy. This voucher, from what you showed me, is not even close to inflation.
No.
And for a lot of units, I think I read over there that 67% of places here don't accept vouchers.
Yeah, 67% don't accept vouchers. Why, I don't know. And then the ones that accept them don't have anything available for us. So.
And can you kind of talk about the community here? Tell me about the types of residents that live here. It seems like a close community. They're in a community meeting now.
Yes.
But people have lived here their whole lives. And you said, for you, this is 3 generations.
Yes, it's 3 generations. It's quiet. You see how quiet it is. The kids play. We have a play street where the kids aren't in traffic. So they come out and they play. Everybody knows each other. And to break down the neighbors, like kids have grown up with each other. So now they have to separate. And what are the chances they're going to see each other anymore? They go to school together, they play together. And it's like some people it's like 3 generations, including me, because my daughter and my granddaughters are here, and my grandson.
So your daughter and your granddaughter, they don't live here anymore, but...
They're still here. Oh, really? They're still here. Yes, they're still here too. She's waiting to get her voucher. But what's the chances of us living up the street from each other on another block? Slim to none.
And it's got to be a mix, like frightening, but also kind of infuriating, because you've lived here for 2 decades.
Right.
And all of a sudden...
We're just getting kicked out. It is. It's scary because you don't know what we don't know what our next move is going to be, and it makes you angry because how do you just put families out in the street because you want to sell the property? You don't want to have anything to do with it anymore.
Can you kind of talk about the landlords since this encampment developed? What's been the communication? I read that he's kind of, what is he, locked the laundry room or something? What's the landlord doing?
Well, what happened was when they came that Monday morning, when they seen the encampment, they locked the office, they locked the laundry, but emails were sent out, so they had to come back and open up the laundry. But they just opened up the office on this Monday, so the office was closed for a whole week. We have no communication at all with Altman. He has not reached back out to us with our, concerning our demands or anything.
Can you kind of talk about what those demands are of the landlord and the city?
We want more time. One, we don't want to move. We want to stay here. If we can't stay, give us more time. Give us just compensation so we can move and live in something decent.
And can you kind of talk about a little bit? It's just amazing to me. We have a pandemic.
Right.
Right away, the government gave trillions of dollars to Wall Street, big corporations. Local cities got money that were supposed to go towards the homeless, rental relief, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Yet they're kicking you out of here, giving you like a coupon to Denny's, basically.
Right.
Sorry to be kind of light, but that's what it is. So bailouts for the corporations, for the Federal Reserve sent out trillions of dollars to buy up assets, things like that. But for, let's just call it what it is, low income, a lot of African-American residents here. It's basically like, good luck, hope you find a place.
Exactly. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. It's nothing out there. I mean, I'm on different sites all day, and it gets so frustrating that, you do get angry because where are we going? There's nothing out here. Nothing.
Can you kind of, about how many residents live here?
There's 67 households left, saying we got 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and 4 bedrooms. So I can't pinpoint exactly how many residents this is, but it's 67 households.
And talk about the city, Democratic city, the mayor's Democrat, city council, a lot of Democrats. From what I could tell, there's a whole lot of real estate money going into the pockets of these politicians. I actually believe a real estate developer, Alan Dom, is a city councilman too. So it just seems interesting to me. It's almost like the real estate developers are funding the politicians, and then the politicians kind of let them do whatever they want.
Yes, they are funding them, and we're not getting anything from any of the politicians. We called for the mayor, the councilwoman, and we're not getting any response from any of them.
I was told that during the day there's a lot of support coming from the community,
Yes.
people coming here sharing kind of similar stories.
Yes. Right now there's 37 house buildings that within the next 4 years their contract will be up to, and they could end up just like us. So we have a lot of people coming through and support us with what's going on, because they could be in our similar situation in about 4 years.
And for people not from Philadelphia, I just want to kind of explain the neighborhood. You have colleges down the road,
Yes.
hospitals.
Yes.
It seems like they're building stuff everywhere, like high rise. Can you kind of talk about what this neighborhood was 20 years ago when you came in compared to what it is now?
20 years ago, there was a lot of these buildings wasn't here. They took our high school, University City, our elementary school, Drew, our pre-K and kindergarten, the Walnut Center, and they built up stores and labs and businesses. So when you look now, it's Drexel, it's Penn, and businesses. It's not like our neighborhood like it used to be. So it's like everything is business.
That's got to be kind of tough for you since you've been here for 2 decades.
Yeah, if I took pictures, I would really have a nice book of how it was 2003 compared to how it is now. everything. All of these stores were like business stores, and now it's all eateries and everything now.
And, to me, what's kind of infuriating, this isn't the only landlord doing this. This is happening everywhere.
Yeah.
Landlords trying to sell, buyers trying to buy up a low-income housing unit, demolish it,
Right.
build up and they say, well, this is capitalism. We have a right to sell our property, and sorry to you folks, but that's just the price of doing business here.
Right. Yes. And we're lost. We're out in the cold. Like, they doing what they doing, and we got to find housing. So.
Can you talk about a little bit the bigger picture? Obviously there was a lot of focus 2 years ago. We got to get rid of Trump. We got to get rid of Trump. I'm glad we got rid of Trump, but then, we're going to build back better and do all these things. But it's basically just been a whole lot of kind of offering the people crumbs. You have inflation now. There's a lot of companies price gouging, and everyone's focused on gas, but housing is out of control. I mean, 30% increases, 40% increases. Can you kind of just talk about how do working people survive if all these costs are skyrocketing? A lot of these costs have been going up for years.
Right. It's hard because you're budgeting how you work, how you pay, how you going to pay rent. Then it comes in with the gas. So how much I'm gonna have for gas? It's really frustrating that everything is going up and everybody's like turning a blind eye to it. Like, if you can survive, you can survive. If you can't, it's not sure what we're gonna do.
And you, in terms of the encampments here, can you kind of talk about what kind of support they've been providing, both the residents that have been camping out, but other community members that you've invited? How are they helping out?
They've been great. We do have some supporters that come and spend the night with us and come out and sit at the tables with us with the information, with the people coming in and helping with food and with the children, playing games with them. They've really been supportive.
It's hot too, so they're dedicated.
They're dedicated. Yes, we out here in the heat. Yes, yes.
And I'm curious because the media, from what I've seen, has kind of made it out like this is like a homeless encampment when
yes,
it's not. Talk about the media, because not just in Philly, but the media in general, they cover kind of like prices, like, yeah, prices are going up. They don't really talk about like why prices are going up, the corporations that are benefiting, the real estate developers. How is the media covered?
The media coverage, they've been doing interviews with us, but then you have the media that wants to put their perspective on it, that this is homeless people and these are strangers, and they're not. We live here. We camp out here. We have residents that stay up all night to make sure everything is okay. We have residents which we come out in the morning, and it's almost like a work shift, because I'm out here in the morning from 7 to 3, and this is for the residents.
And I'd like to ask you, because I've covered Flint a lot, the water crisis, the cover-up, and you always get these kind of ignorant people. Well, why don't you just move then? Why don't you just move? Like it's so easy and all this.
Right.
Like you're talking about, you're looking.
Right, and can't find it. I mean, sure, if we could move, we'd be gone by now. If there was somewhere for us to go, we would go. They had this on the table 10 years ago, and we could have been warned, and we weren't. And it's just 1 year plopped. We're not renewing the contract. We're giving y'all year notice. You have to move. So,
what do you, if they don't bend, what's someone like you to do? You got grandkids.
I'll be in a tent, I guess. Because where am I gonna go? Stay in our homes until they're ready to tear it down. It's not too much more to do.
What do you want to see in terms of the people? Because I find it very hopeful, actually, that there's people out here.
Right.
Too many times this stuff's happening, people just kind of take it. But I'm glad that you're seeing some type of protest here. Do you want to see more of this? Because there's plenty of other places. You guys said 37 other buildings.
Yes, we need to see more here, and it's just not in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia. It's all over the United States. You know, we have to get some kind of solidarity to get together and make a statement. You know, you just can't put people out on the street with families. You know, we need to be home. This is home. We want to stay home.
I also think it's kind of crazy too, because even though the media and the politicians pretend it's over, I mean, COVID is out of control right now.
Right.
COVID's spreading. There's a new variant. People can't be like, out in the street.
When looking for the houses, they're not even showing the houses. They're saying that they're showing them, but not how like they had the open houses before and all that. You have to make an appointment. You have to fill out the application, and then the process goes. So some of them are virtual. So we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and you want us to find housing. It's impossible.
And lastly, I find it interesting that the marketing of America and the message is we're the wealthiest country on earth. People from all around the world envy us. They want to move here, this and that. I mean, listen, yeah, it's better than some really, really bad places, but I mean, this is happening everywhere. In Philadelphia, from downtown to like the worst parts, it's a 10-minute drive. Right. And it's the same thing in other places. But we're kind of fed that like, oh no, the biggest threat is Trump. I think, he is threat. Republicans are, in my opinion, crazy. Right. But you got Democrats doing nothing for the people. And I don't know. I find it a threat to democracy if people are, about to be on the streets all over the place.
Homelessness is a big threat, and it's not just one age group. We're going from young people to the elderly. You have elderly people now that are homeless that had property or lived somewhere all their lives, and they're out in the street. And it's sad to see somebody that age get to be that old and homeless. So homelessness is a big thing.
How could people, if they don't live here, how could people support? What would you like to see people do?
Come out. We have a petition that's being signed. They can sign the petition. They can come learn exactly why we're doing what we're doing and just stand with us.
Thank you so much.
Right,
I appreciate it. Absolutely. So I want to also, Colin, I don't know if we could flip the camera. Can you flip the camera real quick? So I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, folks, but at the top of the townhomes, it says housing is a human right. You can't see it because it's dark, but there's a big banner that says housing is a human right. There's one right here, housing is a human right. And obviously you see the tents where people are staying. What's your name?
Mel.
Mel? Hey. Tell me how long have you lived here, and kind of explain to me, a year ago you got this message. What's been the process since then?
The process has been rough, mentally and physically. It's wearing on the people, like worried about where you're gonna lay your head at night, and with a two-month timer, like that stresses a lot of people out. And I've been here for 29 years. Yeah, since I was 17. So like this is my home. I mean, the first housing, the market is not meeting the money. The market of the rate of housing is not meeting the money that people are making. And if they're going to keep it in this manner, which they should not, but if they keep it in this manner, then you have to accommodate those. And a lot of Philadelphians, I'd say about 75% of Philadelphians cannot meet the money market, cannot meet the money market of housing. And people need assistance, and then assistance is getting thin because landlords are not accepting vouchers and that sort of thing. So that's starting to become minimized as well, because that was used as the base to help people who couldn't meet the housing market. Now that's being minimized because landlords don't want to accept now, because everybody is all about the almighty dollar. And this where this type of thinking has to end, because it's hurting the whole economy as a whole, because you're taking from people that don't have a lot. And when you take from people that don't have a lot, you're not going to get what you want anyway, because people can't meet that. And when you have a third of the community and the city as a whole, the third of the city as a whole can't meet the requirements, then you're not going to make any money anyway. And it's not like landlords are going to drop their prices to accommodate people, but they're not going to make any money because people can't afford it anyway.
What's the role also? You got these real estate developers aligning the pockets of the politicians. So you have corruption where they're basically saying, hey, we want these real estate developers to, beautify these neighborhoods so we could get, make upper middle class neighborhoods.
And that's why the people are out here. Like, no, you're just not going to sweep us out from everything that we've known and everything that we built. Because see, that again, they're trying to pick it off what we've built. Low income has been here and been in these parts and all these parts around the city for long as we can remember. I mean, I'll be 45, so for at least 4 decades, for what I know of, and go back even further than that to my pops and my mom. Like, listen, no, y'all been doing this to people for what? Like I said, well over half a century, just pushing us out because y'all want to bring a more fluid class of money in here. But you just can't push people out with no options. They pushing people out with no options. That's why we stand. That's why we rise. That's why we fight, because there is no other option for us.
Let me ask you also, you've constantly seen, a decade ago, the government gave a bailout to the banks who tanked our economy. During COVID, right away, they gave trillions of dollars to corporations and the wealthy. They gave unemployment, a few small checks to everybody else. But for folks like you, a voucher that could barely cover the cost of a bathroom at this point. I mean, how is it that we're the wealthiest country on earth, a democracy, but plenty of money for the wealthy, the corporations, plenty of money for war, but for folks like you who have lived here for 30 years, hey, take this little coupon, good luck.
Yeah, and see, and that's what we're fighting against. This is not. It's bigger than Philly. It's a global issue. Housing is a global issue, but in this country, it's a national atrocity that has gone unaddressed for far too long, and people across the country are starting to stand up. And when you have that many people that have been born in a struggle or have lived the struggle for multiple years or multiple decades or what have you, people are going to stand up because the system works against us already, and people just continue to take from us in the system. Like, no, somebody has to stand their ground. People have to stand their ground, and we are the start of a movement to stand on our ground and fighting for the community that we built.
Would you like to see more people start organizing economic strikes? We're going to keep our money away from Amazon, big banking, these kind of things until you give us some of what we want. Because it seems to me we see a lot of protests in the streets, but we don't see a lot of economic protests, boycotts, things like that.
And that's not something that people are going to really do much. It'd be great to see that sort of thing, but people have needs, and it's hard to find businesses that can accommodate everything that some of these big businesses have. And we're trying to fight the atrocity of economic. That's a deeper issue. That's a deeper issue where multiple fronts has to happen to organize economic strike and that sort of thing. That's not something you could just pull off overnight. That's something that has to be worked out and constantly planned for and consistently planned for. But what we're doing, our situation is well organized. We have a well group of people with us, the residents included in that, a well diverse group of people that know how to get things done. And we will not let these developers win at all costs. It's whatever it takes now. We tried to be cordial. We tried to, come to the table and find a resolution for all of us to get what we want. They didn't want to come to the table. They declared war on us by threatening to put us out and putting us on the clock. So this encampment is our beginning basis to strike back. We're not finished with these people yet, because they need to know that we stand in our ground and we bringing the fight to them.
Tell me about the support you've been getting from the community. Obviously, you invited folks here.
Yes, and the community is really, really strong, and they're really ready to stand up with us. And they're on and most of them pretty much all of them on the same mentality I'm on. is whatever it takes, whatever we have to do to make this right and to be an example for the rest of the city or even across the country for that matter, because we're trying to set a standard. Like, this is, like I said, this is a problem that's been addressed for far too long. And now that we've decided to stand up to fight against it, we want to be example for all citizens across the country that's going through this to stand up. Because if you do nothing, you lose. If you stand and you fight, you have a chance of building something, of getting something, getting national eyes and attention on this. And it needs to be thoroughly reiterated that you have to stand up, or these developers and big-time city moguls will run over you. Damn, that I done worked too hard just to be where I'm at right now for anybody to run over me. You gonna run over me, you gonna get a murder charge with that. Because listen, I'm not letting nobody run on me. I'm gonna stand my ground. I'm a 280-pound man. You wanna move me? I welcome you to try that. I welcome
Preach.
that. I welcome that. And like people have come through and signed a petition. They donated equipment for us to keep this sustainable because they want to see us bring the fight to the people that need to be brought to. City leaders, the mayor, they've done nothing. They have failed to protect the citizens of the city and have equality in the city as a whole for all Philadelphians.
Can you kind of talk about, they want to throw, you got senior citizens here, you got disabled people here. They want to throw them out on the streets, basically. It's still a pandemic. I mean, COVID's through the roof right now. What are senior citizens or disabled people supposed to do?
Exactly, and that's why we're also declaring this atrocity as a national health crisis, because we're all in the middle of a global pandemic. People need to understand this is global. This is a global pandemic, and you putting people out on the street, adding to an already increasing homeless population and making a national health crisis that's already in dire. You're making that worse tenfold. So you want to be known as somebody that's adding to an already bad national crisis with a global pandemic flowing, and you want to add to that by displacing people and putting them on the streets. And we're talking about numbers in the thousands. When it's 37 other communities in the city that they're trying to drop, just like ours. And they're making a national crisis. You're talking thousands of people you're putting on the street to an already increasingly growing homeless population already. And we all know what that leads to. That leads to more poverty and more crime. When you put people's backs against the wall and they got kids to feed, they gonna do anything to feed them kids when they starving.
I'm glad you brought that up, because the media, crime is out of control. Crime is out of control. Well, why is crime out of control? Why do you think?
This is exactly why. Putting people on the street is going to increase that, because you putting people that have little, and then you giving them, and then they have nothing, then you reducing them to nothing, then they going to do whatever it takes to feed their kids. I know I damn sure am. But I don't want to be in that position where I gotta do crime, because that's not who I am as a person, as a man. That's not who I am. That's not how I operate. But for my kids to get fed, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, because my kids ain't gonna starve even if I got to. And that's how all these people feel about their children. Because everybody here is gonna make sure their kids eat, regardless of what the situation is. Even if they gotta starve, they gonna make sure the babies eat. We gonna make sure the babies eat all day. Even if we gotta starve because of it, then so be it.
Obviously, this is bigger than one president, but if you had a minute, 2 minutes with Biden, what's your message to him? Because he's pushing, and the media is pushing, the economy's doing better. Unemployment's down, GDP is up. All the jobs that were lost during the pandemic are back. There's a lot of rosy rainbows and sunshine going out there in the media, and the president's putting it out there. All I see is kind of an economic Hunger Games.
Housing is at a national crisis, and for our president, he needs to know that something needs to be done, because if something doesn't get done, the people will. And if the people have to do it because legislation wasn't put in place to protect the people, this country is supposed to be about the people. Our Constitution says, we the people. It's supposed to be about the people. And so many leaders in Congress, the Senate, these city elected officials, state elected officials, federal elected, they have failed the people because too many people are struggling. Too many people had to resort to making the wrong moves just to feed their kids. And people need to understand housing is a gross part of that atrocity.
Would you like to see more of these kind of encampments, not just for people that are in an emergency situation where you're about to be evicted, but hey, you're jacking up rents? I talked to a senior citizen woman. She was suicidal because her landlord was jacking up rent $800. Would you like to see more protests like this elsewhere?
Yeah, this is a pure statement of defiance. Our encampment is a pure statement of defiance against the owner of this property and other developers across the country. That y'all do this to people, people are going to stand up against y'all. And they need to know that. They need to know that. If you're gonna build in the city, build around the community, not through it. Because the community, if you build something nice and respectable, then people will gravitate. But if you push people out, you're not going to have any people to do business with if you push people out. So developers are not even thinking economically to their own business, because you pushing people out of the community. Because what makes you guarantee to think that people that you bring in or attempting to bring in with all this money are going to spend that money in your business? That's not guaranteed. I mean, neither is keeping us around, but here's the point. If you make something respectable that people can use, a resource that people can use, people will buy in if they can afford it. But see, they think money guarantees money. Money don't always guarantee money. People guarantee that. People guarantee, because people decide money don't spend itself. People spend money. And if you good to the people in your community, people will spend money when they have it. You know what I mean? But if you're not good to the community, and obviously they are not, why should we spend our money? And see, they want to push us out because they doing us wrong, and we don't want to spend our money in their businesses because they're treating us poorly. But this is a message. This is a message for all the communities across the country that's going through the same thing we're going through right now. I'm going to address y'all directly. A statement of defiance needs to be had for those that are being displaced and put out in these streets. I'm addressing y'all directly right now. Stand up, because if you don't, you lose. We lose as a people if you do nothing. So standing up is vitally important.
What's your name?
Mel.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Absolutely. That's why we go on the road. That's why we go on the road. Absolutely. I've been going around for 6 or 7 years, and it gets worse every time I'm on the road. He's lived here for 29 years. 29 years. Want to come in? 29 years, and they're kicking him out. And I just want to read this, by the way, to you before we speak with the next person. We are attempting to build a stronger community to preserve the land of UC townhomes. Stand on. The commitment you are making is to support low-income, affordable housing and to end displacement. We thank you for your support and participation. Come on over. What's your name, ma'am?
Lynn Green.
Oh, you can stand right here.
Lynn Green.
Lynn Green?
Lynn Green.
How long have you been living here?
24 years.
Wow. 29 years, 24. It seems like everybody...
20s and 30s and 40s. Yep.
He just said that this is basically a defiance against what's been going on for years, which is they're trying to push folks like you out.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what's happening. And I have a question. Why? These are our homes. I mean, nobody don't want to be pushed out of their homes. So that's what they're doing here. And I would like to know why. Wherever the change comes, that's what I call it. When everything happens like this, the change. Whenever the change comes, we have to move. So back to my question, why? Why we're not a part of the change? Why can't somehow we could fit in that change? Wherever our homes is, we have to always pack up and keep it moving, find someplace else to make home. And again, I would like to say why.
You know, what's striking to me, we were just talking about it, you kind of hear all these things like, oh, the economy is coming back and unemployment's low and the GDP and the stock market are doing well. Meanwhile, this isn't just Philadelphia. This is happening in a lot of places. It's basically like an economic Hunger Games or something, where everybody is kind of like fighting for scraps. Can you kind of just talk about it? Must be pretty scary to live somewhere for over 2 decades, and you don't know what's going to happen in a few months.
That's true. That's exactly how I feel. I've been here for 24 years. This is like home. The community is like family. The children's here is like family. This is all I know. You know, my doctors are here. I shop here. The people where I shop at knows me. When I moved here, I was in my 30s. Now I'm in my 60s. So that, you know, my whole life is here. So to move and start all over, I mean, I don't mind starting all over, but where do you go from here? Because everywhere we go is where they want to build again. And then we got to move again. Build again, and we got to move again. So I don't know where to go. Do I go to the left, to the right? Do I go on the north side, to the west side? I don't know which way to go to make my home.
And the voucher they gave you might afford, you know, breakfast at Denny's. That voucher, it's not even accepted, and about 67% of places don't accept it. Can you kind of talk about, I mean, it's kind of an insult to give you a voucher because it doesn't even cover most of the cost.
No, it don't cost most of the cost. And then the voucher of the housing is sad because it's not, they're sort of unfit to live in. The neighborhood is unfit. It has nothing there to offer. They don't have no stores, no hospitals, no supermarkets, laundromats, nothing that our needs being met. They have none of that. It's just a place to be, and the place is not even well kept up. And why would they want us to make that our home? Like, don't we deserve better? We feel as though we do. But what would make them think that we deserve that? So that's very heartening, you know. It's very sad, heartbreaking. Because I'm trying to think, why would anybody think of someone that want to build a home will want that? Where there's no community, no supermarkets, no stores, no anything for your needs. Like, who would want that to be their home? No.
Clearly, they're not concerned about your needs. They just want the property to do with what they want.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want. They don't care about the needs of the people. They don't care about anything but money for themselves.
I mean, I kind of know the answer. Where are the politicians? You got a Democratic mayor, a Democratic city council.
And I feel it really heartbreaking over that because I put some of these people in, and they did absolutely nothing. And that's really heartbreaking. Absolutely nothing for the people. And they were supposed to be in there for the people. And they did absolutely nothing. So, you know, that was heartbreaking. But that was a lesson learned. So now I'm more educated on what I need to do and how I need to do it.
Did you raise your kids in this community?
Yeah, I raised my kids. My kids is now, they're adults. They're 31 and 32. My daughter, she delivers mail. And my son works at a hospital, Jefferson Hospital. So they're doing pretty good. They're trying to do the right thing and live well. So they're trying to do well. You know, I did a good job, I feel, as though raising them. And now my concern is me. You know, I've been out here working all my life, and now I feel like I didn't do anything. Absolutely nothing. I'm starting from scratch. And where do you begin? I have to figure that out. I'm in the midst of figuring that out now.
And also, you got a lot of senior citizens that live here, disabled people.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they supposed to do? I mean, what are you all supposed to do? But what are they supposed to do when, you know, they're not young people anymore and they have limitations?
Good question. You know, that's a very good question. I mean, thank God for the community and for their family because, like we said, until everybody gets a home, we're going to stick to help everyone. Until I cannot lay down and sleep at night in my home knowing people around me don't have nowhere to go and no place to call home. So we're sticking together. We're sticking together.
Tell people about the community support you've been getting. Obviously, people have been camped out here.
Yes, yes. The people are great. I mean, they're our guests. We invited them here as our guests, and they're here to support us. I mean, they're great people. I mean, they want to help. They see the need up for the community. They see what these people are doing to us. So they're here to support us. And I thank God for them because these are people that don't even know us. And they're giving everything they have to help us. So, that's what it's all about. Community again. From people that we don't even know. They did more for us than the politicians are. They're not doing anything. The people, our support team, that's who's helping us. Not the people we put in office.
Can you kind of talk about the media? Because the media has been some of the media have been saying, oh, it's like a homeless encampment. When, no, it's the residents have invited people here to stay.
Yeah, this is not no homeless encampment. We had invited, these people are a guest of us. And they're here to support us. Definitely not no homeless encampment. They're here, they got children here that lives here. We live here. But we realize from our home, what they're doing to us, this is where we'll be next. So this is what this is all about.
And, it's interesting. Right now, if you watch CNN or anything, there's a lot of focus on saving democracy and, January 6th and all that. And that's true. They did try to overturn the election. But what kind of democracy is it if you elect politicians to represent you and they're basically just letting you fend for yourself? And hey, if a real estate developer wants to bulldoze the place, good luck. We hope you find a place.
There's no democracy. It needs to be written all over. There's none. Because the democracy doesn't meet for the people at all. It's for the big business people and everybody that's just come in and bulldoze the people out. Because it's not for the people. That needs to be written all over again. It needs to start from scratch and start from the beginning because it's not meeting the people's needs. Democracy. So I don't even like to talk on that issue because it's none. It's none. It doesn't apply to me at all. So
my last question. As we said, this is happening in a lot of places. Would you like to see more, people coming out and protesting, not just when there's a timeline, we're going to be evicted in 2 weeks, 2 months, but hey, rent's going up 30%, 40%. Would you like to see more people, if it's going to take tents, whatever it's going to take, fighting, because housing is a human right, but...
Housing is a human right. And you're right. It's going to take this. It's going to take this. It's going to take people's voices. It's going to take people to stand up and fight. It really, really is. One time my eyes was closed to this, and when I tell you now my eyes is open, I just can't believe what I'm seeing and hearing. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what people have to go through for as housing. Like you said, housing is a human right. The food costs to everything. It's like we have nothing. We have nothing. We're trying to survive out here. We have absolutely nothing. So, it's just amazing how we have no one to understand, which I know they know, the politicians, for as what we need out here. People are suffering. The children are suffering. The children, once their school is here, everything they need is here. They're being ripped from their school. We're being ripped from our homes. I mean, like, why? Even if developments come in and they want to change, I'm for change. I think change is a beautiful thing. But when you're not included in the change, that's the problem. That now that when you have to move over here to the left, over here to the right, you're not a part of anything. I want to know what's that all about. Because that doesn't fit in no democracy. It's not even a human right on anything. It's no human right on anything. Food, housing, the school system, nothing. It's just sad how money just rules over people's lives. And they talk about crime. Well, that's hand in hand. Look what's happening.
And you're also dealing with this gas. They're cheerleading that it's like $4.60 now. Gas is through the roof, electricity bills, food prices. So you're dealing with this as all the prices are through the roof.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's what makes it tough. We're dealing with all the food, the housing costs, the pandemic. We're dealing with all this at the same time while we're trying to move. And it's very difficult. Mothers try to get their kids back in school. I mean, mothers are working. I mean, it's really difficult. And they're just giving us 2 months. So it's very, very heartbreaking and very difficult. Like I said, democracy, they need to change everything because this is like really getting out of hand. And it's going to be a lot more of this. This is like the beginning because there's going to be a lot of more protests, voices being heard, and a lot of encampment. This is what it's going to be all about now.
If you had 2 minutes with President Biden, what would you tell him?
Help. Help. Don't stand by and see it, read it, help. Do all you can to help the people. Lose sleep because you need to help the people because the people need help. They hurting out here bad. They need help. That's what I would like to say. Help, please. Don't turn your back. Don't turn your head. Look, see what you can do. Go into your heart and help.
What's your name again?
Lynn Green.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Wow. It's really not a lot of words I could say. Not a lot of words I could say. What you're seeing, and this is why I've never liked the term, gentrification, because they should really call it economic terrorism. Because gentrification, it's like, what is that? Nobody really gets it. It's terrorism. Wouldn't you be scared if you've lived somewhere for 24 years, 29 years? The first one, I think, was 13 years. Wouldn't you be kind of scared if you were like, oh, you got a few months, and here's a coupon, and you go around, and that coupon might buy you breakfast at Denny's? Certainly not an apartment in a safe neighborhood. Certainly not a townhome in a safe neighborhood. And by the way, these are low-income black people. This isn't happening to white yuppies. It's happening to poor black people and poor white people in a lot of places too. Last year when I was in Kentucky, they were evicting a mobile home of poor white folks too. So all you hear about is, oh, we have an emergency of democracy and the election, we have to safeguard the elections. You know what? January 6th was a terrible thing. I'd like to see Trump convicted, but this is not a democracy, what you're seeing. This is an oligarchy. This is an aristocracy. And it's happening in plain sight. And by the way, the media, they come, yeah, they'll talk to the residents. Do these journalists, most of them are doing pretty well, do they give a shit? It's not happening to them. They're going back to the suburbs or downtown if they live in the nice part of Philadelphia. I mean, this is an emergency. By the way, it's not just an emergency for people that have a eviction date. It's an emergency for people that are being priced out of their communities. I was in Florida, our last trip, Tampa, Orlando. The rent was going up 40%. 40%. Where are they supposed to move? The Atlantic Ocean? I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I got to tell you, I mean, the Republicans obviously don't give a shit. They take money from the same corrupt real estate developers. But, you know, it's the Democrats, they'll put in their window Black Lives Matter. They'll put up a pride flag now supporting trans people. That's great. But, you know, these are black people. These are black lives. A lot of this is happening also in low-income Hispanic communities. It doesn't seem like these lives matter so much if it means challenging the real estate developers. And she said something so powerful. We're not against change. We're not against our communities being made more beautiful and new restaurants and bars and, you know, nice apartments. That's great. But not if you're demolishing where we live and throwing us out like we're garbage to make it happen. And I think it's so important. And Steve Grumbine, who has a show on Status Coup on Sundays. So check that out, 2 o'clock Eastern on Sundays. He's talked about this a lot. It really doesn't get enough attention how the universities play a huge role here. University of Pennsylvania, Drexel University here, in New York City, Columbia, okay, to educate the masses with $60,000 tuitions and indebting the students for the rest of their lives. They're displacing people who were born there and who grew up there. Poor black people, Hispanic, poor white. We know about indigenous people in this country too. They're saying, hey, we want to, economic development is the word. It's always economic development, urban renewal. Well, that's a problem because these people, who knows where they're going to go? And to the people out there, well, Jordan, that's capitalism. The landlord has a right to sell his property. He gave them enough notice. Well, if that's capitalism, we need to change the system to something else. Because that landlord, there has to be some limits that if you're going to make X dollar on throwing senior citizens and disabled people onto the streets, then maybe there needs to be some restrictions on how much profit you can make. Because this landlord does not need to sell this property. Or the city, to avoid the residents being evicted, the city could step in and make a deal with this landlord if he wants to get out from under it. We always seem to have enough money. We're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. We're sending trillions of dollars during this pandemic. The Federal Reserve pumped out trillions of dollars to buy up bonds and other assets. It was all for corporate America. I spoke with a bar owner earlier today. We recorded it. I spoke with a bar owner. He's got a $32,000 loan. $32,000 he has to pay back for a pandemic he did not create. Meanwhile, real estate prices have gone up in Philadelphia. Insurance has gone up. Nobody could live like this. And by the way, we haven't that fine woman was talking about it. Can you imagine the mental health problems this is causing? The mental health problems? I mean, people deal with stress, but imagine you got to get your kids to school, you got a pandemic, you're facing eviction, gas is, now there's, CNN was giddy that gas went down to $4.60 today, $4.60. Yeah, if you make 6 figures on CNN, yes, $4.60. By the way, most of that price is through greedy fossil fuckers, excuse my French, price gouging. So, unfortunately, now what you have is what we've always had. The Democrats are running on, the Republicans are extreme. They're going to take away reproductive rights. Yes, they are. They are doing that. They're going after trans people. The Democrats are basically running on all these issues, which are important issues. I don't want to say they're not. Because now they're cheerleading, oh, we don't have to run on anything economically. We don't have to run on the fact that we haven't done anything about gentrification. We don't have to run anything on Philadelphia. What is it, $8 an hour is the minimum wage? This is a Democratic city. The minimum wage, I think, is 8 something. $7.50? With inflation, that's probably under the federal minimum wage. I mean, this is an emergency. So if you're in Philadelphia, if you're driving distance, this is the UC Townhomes. Now they're calling it the People's Townhomes. The UC Townhomes. It's on 40th and Market Street. You could go online if you're not from here to find out more. Save UC Townhomes. And this is why we go on the road. I mean, you really can't. You could interview people like when you're not on the road, but you really can't get a feel unless you're here. I mean, if you're driving through this community, a couple blocks down, it's restaurants and bars and new developments that they've rose. And then you come here, you have one of the few affordable housing places still here that they're trying to get rid of. And somebody told me they want to put in like a lab here. A lab. Let me read some comments. Let me know if you're as pissed off as I am. Whoa, look at those super chats. Sorry if I missed super chats while I'm live. Landlords are buying buildings, doing renos, doubling rents. All yachts are rising, but wages not so much. Very true. Sabia, I'm working on this issue on my architecture studies thesis, trying to figure out ways to incorporate social mixing in cities. I got news for you. It's easier said than done, but the only way you're going to get change in this country, not only tents, people need to boycott. That gentleman made a point. It's not easy to boycott. You know, people have needs. Not everyone can economically boycott. You know, some people could only afford fast food. Some people could only afford Amazon, Walmart, whatever it is. But, you know, I've been going around the country for 7 years, and I keep covering the same protests where they're marching in the streets around the same blocks, chanting the same shit. The capitalists and the plutocrats, they'll let you protest. If you get a little too rowdy, they'll use their police to bash your heads in. Ask black people, ask indigenous people that. But what they will not tolerate is any reduction in their quarterly profits, their stock buybacks. So if people start organizing in their community, I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it's going to be a general strike overnight. If people start, hey, you know what? That grocery store over there is exploiting the community with high prices, and they're mistreating their workers. We're gonna try and boycott that grocery store for a little while. That bank over there, you start brick by brick, it could do a lot. But I got to tell you, I mean, I don't tell people how to vote. You vote for whoever you want. But voting is not going to get us out of this mess. And I'm not telling you not to vote. Obviously, do what you want. People have voted. They always say, Colin did this great video, if you saw it. He took us from 2004 to now, so almost 20 years. Just a mashup with them saying, this is the most important election of our life. Kerry and Obama and Biden and some of the Republicans. Every time it's the most important election of our life. Well, these people, this is the most important time of their lives because they're going to be on the streets soon. And I think it's great, by the way, a lot of the people here are white. I think there's a role for white people that are doing, and by the way, there's a lot of poor white people too, so I'm not saying it's, you know, all white people, but people, if you can, need to get off their asses, and if you're doing a little better, help these people. Half of life is showing up. I really believe that. You got a lot of people from the community that are white, might be doing a little better. Not that they're swimming in money, but aren't facing eviction in 2 months. They're out here. And by the way, it's 10 o'clock. It's still fucking hot out. It's a heat wave this week. And they're out here all day. I think it's going to be 96 tomorrow. These people are out here. Before we wrap up, reminder, this is the UC Townhomes in West Philly. You could go to the website. I think it's Save UC Townhomes. That's the website. And we'll keep covering this, even, you know, maybe on the way back, too, on our road trip. Because make no mistake, the vouchers that they're offering these people are a joke. You can't, it's nowhere near what the housing market is now. And 67% of places here do not accept vouchers. Imagine living somewhere for 30 years, 24 years, and they say, hey, sorry, I'm the landlord, and, you know, it's my birthright. It's the First, Second, Third, Fourth, Fifth Amendment that I can make as much money as I want. Good luck to you. Here's a coupon. And you want to know something? That gentleman I was talking to? He's right. People aren't going to take it, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of this. And you want to know something? All this media talk about, oh, crime, crime. Do you think people are shoplifting for the fun of it? You think people are shoplifting for the fun of it, or carjacking for the fun of it, stealing food for the fun of it? That's what they want to be doing? It's just crazy. Before I go, let me give you a little preview. Oh, Fly Chomper Fly, $5. These people are so eloquent about their dire situation. Makes me cry because we have no control over these atrocities. At least we have Status Coup. Yes and no, you do have control. They're exercising control. As residents of this property, they have the right to invite people on the property, and that's what they're doing. And they're saying, no, we're not leaving. So you do have, people have more power than they think they do. Noble Brown, $9.99. Jordan, people will be in control when they remember we have all the power. Until then, we are here, sadly. I agree. I agree. Empire in decay. Indeed. Thank you. Humorous, $50. Take care of each other. Take care of this garden. All things would be given unto you for free. Let's get that progressive movement unionized together. Let's get this country back on track. We could make America great again by building it back better. Humorous, $10. Noble Brown, you are correct. We are a house divided and it will fall. We are a house built on sand and it will disappear. We must become united again, humanity on planet Earth. I also want to bring up something before we go. And by the way, if you're not a Status Coup member, you fund this reporting. We're starting in Philly. We're going to be here tomorrow morning for another interview. Then we're driving to Western Pennsylvania, do a couple things in Pittsburgh, Altoona, then Ohio somewhere. We're kind of making it up as we go what we're going to do. If you are somebody in Western Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, you got a story. Whether it's inflation, other economic issues, housing, whatever it is, reach out to us. info@statuscoup.com. info@statuscoup.com if you're in those states. We might go to Michigan. I'm not sure yet. Info@statuscoup. But I always tell you, part of why I love going on the road, besides connecting with people, is you find out more on the road from talking to the people than you will just at home. I found out something very troubling earlier. And Colin, I don't know if you were listening when they told me this. So we did an interview earlier at a bar. This guy told me maybe in a year, if he's lucky, he could make it another year. He's been in this bar for 15 years. He's the owner. He was telling me, guess what Bill Gates is buying up? Guess what Bill Gates is buying up? Bill Gates is starting to buy up community farms and community gardens in the local area here. I'm sure he's doing it elsewhere too. I asked him, what the hell, why the hell is Bill Gates wanting to buy community farms and community gardens? I ain't a conspiracy theorist, but this guy said maybe he wants to control the food. Now, I'm not like one of these like New World Order, Bill Gates runs the world kind of person, but look at what happens here. One of the good things that has been happening in this economic hellscape over the years is communities creating their own produce and food. I've seen it even in Michigan, in Flint. You know, community gardens, healthy food, organic food. Bill Gates is now buying up a lot of these. I wonder why. I genuinely don't know the answer, but I'm going to look into this. Bill Gates buying up community gardens. Unbelievable. I could go on forever, but to be fair, Colin has been up since 3 a.m. Central Time. His flight got canceled because that's another fucking racket. The airline industry canceled his flight. But he's been up since 3 a.m., so I want to allow him to go to bed at a reasonable time. Make sure you are signed up for our text list. That's statuscoup.com/text. That way you'll get a text message when we're live. I believe we're going to be live tomorrow around noon Eastern, so that's 9 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be 96 degrees, so if I'm sweating, that's why. We're going to try to do as many interviews outside because of COVID. I'd really like not to get COVID again. Right now it's spreading like wildfire with this new variant. We got a fan. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's supposed to work outside, so we'll see. So we're going to be live, I think, at noon tomorrow. Then we got a long drive. But please, please, if you're not a member yet, this is what you're supporting. Trust me, these stories will never go viral. These stories will never go viral. Algorithms on YouTube and Twitter, they don't elevate these stories. If they were elevating these stories on the algorithm and this is what they trended, you think this shit would be happening if the masses were awoken to what's really happening? You look on YouTube at any given time in the trending section of news. It's CNN, Bloomberg, the Washington Post, all these corporate channels. It's not Status Coup. We're lucky if people could see us. So please, please, the only way we exist and last for the long time is you signing up, supporting us. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. With that membership, you get to join us on our monthly members call, which we just did last week, which is a lot of fun. It's through Zoom. We also, I don't think we posted it yet, but we post videos from the road just for members. We shot one earlier, so I think we're going to post that in the morning. And we have a Discord channel that more of you need to get active on. I don't see enough people in our Discord. I pop in. I'm not seeing enough people chatting in the Discord, in the members section. So that's all. And, you know, it's dark, so you can't see it. But just to kind of set the scene, you got the tents here. Over there is kind of, if you could show them on the right, over there by that tent closer to the street, that's kind of the welcome center. They're obviously vetting people before they come in because, you know, you want to be safe. There's housing as a human rights signs. There's actually art. There's art that children brought that they hung up near the street. And you can't see it because it's dark, but there's a giant housing as a human rights sign on the roof. I took pictures, so I'll tweet them. So this is really important that more people come together, communities, to fight. So I hope you enjoyed this stream. I know it's not a wonderful topic. And this is the ugly shit that we cover on the road, but this is the stuff that people need to know. So thank you for watching. Again, support this channel, statuscoup.com/join. Thank you for the super chats. Apologies, I wanted to pay attention to those I was speaking with. So apologies if I missed any. Let me see before I go. 222. Fly Chomper Fly, $5. Right now, Bill Gates is already the largest private owner of farmland. Look it up. I will look it up. $20. Eric Miller, $20. Thanks for covering such important stories, Jordan. Thank you. And another call out, by the way. How about independent media start covering this shit? Wouldn't that be nice? Huh? We have a partnership with Breaking Points. So a lot of our stuff from this, some of our stuff from this trip will be on Breaking Points. I'd like to see some more independent media channels covering this. Even if you can't come out here, cover it. Yeah, it's not going to go viral. It's important. It's important. We know the corporate media is barely going to cover it, and when they cover it, hell, the media has been framing this as a homeless encampment. It's not a homeless encampment. These people, the residents invited from the community. It's not homeless people. But this is what the media is framing it as. Thank you for watching. Again, we'll be live around noon Eastern tomorrow, and I really hope we got to get as many member signups as possible on this trip. So if you're not a member yet, it's $5 a month is 16 cents a day. Obviously, if you can't support us financially, I get it. Tough times right now. If you can become a member at $5 a month, $10 a month, or $20 a month, or $179 annual. That's statuscoup.com/join. Thank you for watching.